to start the meeting.
Great.
You have to go around.
Go ahead, it's part of it.
Yeah. You can do that.
We have to pay for it.
I don't think so.
Oh, is it the weekend? No, not the weekend. So it's the evening.
You're all set.
Thank you, Lauren.
Let's see, you just wanna meet up with us?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Newington Permanent Municipal Building Commission. It is February 5th. It's 6:02, I think. Yep, 6:02. Lauren, are you gonna do the roll call, or Jonathan, whoever?
I could do it. Chairman Woods,
Here.
Rahul Abraham,
Here.
Peter Menke,
Here.
Joe Harpy,
Here.
Stanley Sobieski,
Here.
and I will also roll call the the four proposing body members: Scott Amalfi,
Here.
Matt Giesposito,
Here.
Don Brown,
Here.
and Christopher Ferry.
Here.
You are all set.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Next item is public participation. Do we have anybody?
There is no one on the meeting.
Okay. The next item is approval of the 1/6 special meeting, which was our first meeting. Approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Stanley. In a second.
Second.
Seconded by Scott. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We do have another meeting in here for 1/20, which was the special meeting of the tour. I would entertain a motion that we approve that.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Stanley, and seconded by, who was that?
Peter.
Peter. Thank you, Peter. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? I'm Jonathan, and Lauren, I'm gonna abstain just because I wasn't there.
Okay.
Okay. Next item is new business, and we're gonna take up the review and the next steps for the February 10th joint meeting in the animal control facility. Jonathan, I'm gonna assume I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, I just at a very high level. So we're talking about the joint meeting, right? Is the first thing?
Yes, the first.
Yeah.
thing.
So under the terms of the PMBC ordinance, we have to hold the PMBC has to hold a joint meeting with town council. We've sort of penciled it in for or not penciled it. It is going to be on 6 o'clock on Tuesday, February 10th, this coming Tuesday. And we'll kind of take them one at a time. Officially, the purpose of that meeting is to review the what's it called? The statement of need.
Statement of need.
For the two projects. But I mean, I think it's really to have a broad discussion about what council's priorities are compared to what where the direction that the PMBC is leaning for both the Chapman Street and the animal shelter projects. So, I mean, I think, it'd be good for us to maybe just spend some time hashing through what you saw from the Connecticut Canine Tour, and B, what sort of thoughts or just general discussion about next steps with respect to Chapman Street. I know that Lauren has some price quotes that she can talk about with respect to an architect for Chapman Street. As far as the animal shelter, there's really not much to talk about other than that tour, I think. So I guess let's take those one at a time.
All right, thanks. So we'll start with the animal control facilities. I know that was a priority for the council, and obviously I wasn't able to attend the meeting. So Stanley, you ran that meeting. I don't know if you want to start us off with what your perspective is of pursuing the Connecticut Canine building for the use of animal control.
Thank you, Steve. we toured the building, both the upper floor and lower floor. It looks like it's what the police department would be looking at for as far as keeping dogs in there. My thought was, I think there was 60 or 80 pens in the bottom. They probably only need half of that, if that. So there was a possibility, and with some discussion, that maybe we could get rented out to a private individual to run the other half of it. The upstairs is huge for training dogs and stuff, and that could jointly, somebody had mentioned it could jointly be used by both the police department and other town agencies that needed it. It looks in pretty good shape. I think the roof may need to be replaced. I didn't see any water issues. Of course, it was at night, so I didn't see any water issues on the floor or on the ceiling. And the building's been here. I remember Bob Schatz when he built it, and that's been here for a number of years. I think you know that, Steve. Plus the fact it would give us an area that's already conducive to the neighbors who used to hearing the dogs bark, if they do bark at all, and stuff like that. And to me, it's enough addition that we could probably put in some additional storage space outside around the back of the building. I think it was in pretty good shape for its age.
Okay. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go to Scott and Matt. First of all, gentlemen, you don't mind if I call you by your first name? Is that okay?
No problem.
Okay. You obviously are the ones that are going to be the day-to-day, if not you personally, but you're going to have the oversight of the use of this building. So we need to get your perspective on what you thought of, and I think you've toured the building more than once. So I don't care which one of you wants to go first, but if you could give us kind of an overview, that would be great.
Sure. I think for us, the easiest and best way is to stay with Connecticut Canine because we don't lose any service. I mean, if they sold out or we had to go place, I think we're looking at a year before we could get somewhere that we could go. And the places that we're looking at would cost around 60 grand a year, not even be close. So if we bought Connecticut Canine, we could transition right there. They have everything up to code, up the state, and we could just keep going with what we have. So for us, Connecticut Canine makes the most sense. We don't need the top floor. I mean, the town could utilize it however they see fit, but the kennels are there. That's my opinion.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Matt, anything you want to add? You're muted, Matt.
Sorry, the space bar wasn't working. Just the fact that the zero downtime is a significant influence for us. The alternate kennel location that we would do, not only is it about 60 grand a year, but they will only allow year contracts at a time. So we can't go month to month or anything like that. And then the amount of money we would invest in building a facility would literally probably give us 10 kennels and an office for a substantial amount of money, where this seems to have a lot more multi-purpose use that the town can take advantage of.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll open it up now to the members of the committee, specifically to the ones that are, service. So feel free to just dive in.
Steve,
Yes, Joe.
it's a quick question maybe of Jonathan through you. I know that most of these real estate transactions are discussed in executive session for various reasons, and I'm just wondering if you're comfortable tonight saying if you were looking for an endorsement from the committee to move forward, how realistic the numbers that we've been discussing, the 500 and some odd thousand to do some corrective work and then a sales price attached to that. Are you comfortable enough to have that discussion this evening, or is that?
Well, I think discussions about like the renovation costs of the facility, I think, are obviously perfectly appropriate to talk about. I think just the general discussion about whether this is something to make an offer on is probably, we can probably talk about, in a public forum. But if we were to get into numbers or things like that, we definitely want to do that executive session. So I would, yeah.
So that would be you on the council at that level.
Yeah. But those are and I mean, as we know, it is listed for 1.2, but beyond that, I don't think we should sort of talk about anything beyond that.
Do we have a plan B if this plan A should not materialize? What would we do? Go back to Rocky Hill, or I guess one of the officers can answer.
If this were not to materialize purchasing Connecticut Canine, we would then be forced with having to look into building a facility. We've already learned that the initial thought of the transfer station might not be doable due to restrictions on the land with the capping of the previous landfill.
Right.
With that being said, we would have significant downtime, and our backup is actually, I believe, it's a significant distance away, so that not only do we have the added cost of a year contract renting up to 60 grand, there's the added expense of the fact that we'll have overtime and whatnot associated with that because we'll be transporting dogs that I believe it's in Bloomfield.
Yeah, our backup is Simon Foundation in Bloomfield.
Okay, thank you, officers.
Anything else, Joe?
I as one, fully endorse the moving forward to the extent that we can make it real. I think is the best option, Connecticut K-9, for the reasons the officers have stated in the town manager's review of it.
I would agree with that.
Thank you.
I had a question actually for John. So if I support the purchase of this property, I don't have any issue with it. My question was based on what Joe asked. If the transfer station is not a viable property, do we have another property available for the town to build one if we need it? Is there any other alternate?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I think, and I have Joe Salomon on the call too, our facilities director, and I welcome him to chime in. I think the simple answer to the question is there's not an easily identified spot, that's not parkland, that's not away from, has a large buffer with residential neighborhoods. I'd struggle to think of anything. I think Joe, anything to add to that?
Sure. We looked at all available town-owned property when we were looking for a location for the EOC building. There's not a lot of town-owned properties or locations that are viable or were available that fit that need. This needs obviously a little bit more specific and a little bit more challenging when it comes to the dogs. So there's really not another good town-owned property that we can come up with at this time. There are a couple potential maybe available locations that we can look at leasing that we don't own, but that's a big if at this point. So as of right now, I would say, given what we have, the Connecticut K-9 is definitely the best option. As some of you know, a condition assessment was done on the property with Fryer Architects, one of the firms that was involved in the Owens report. It identified some shortfalls, immediate needs, long-term needs, but like everybody said, it's running, it's licensed, it's operable. So it's an easy transition and easier from a facility standpoint to maintain a building that's up and running like that, to get things, more to today's standards or today's modern technologies little by little. So I don't see a large impact when it comes to the facility maintenance aspect of it as well.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I have a question, Joe or Jonathan, either. Have we looked at, obviously there's several doggy daycare centers around town. Do any of them have the ability to kennel dogs?
Yeah, so there's one that we spoke with down on Richard Street, something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it's an established doggy daycare. And the feedback was that they really weren't interested because the types of dogs that the animal control officer brings in, are wilder, more feral than, if you're dropping off, Rover or at doggy daycare because you're going to, New York for the weekend. You don't want it to mix with aggressive, loud dogs. So didn't seem to be an appetite for that. And moreover, I think the low-hanging fruit from the get-go is always the Humane Society, And similarly, they have said they're not interested in partnering. I don't know
Yeah.
if Scott or Matt, you have anything to add to that, but that was the sense, my understanding from when the chief sort of kicked the
Actually, I'm
tires.
not surprised about that. And actually, even after asking the question, then you get into the whole vaccination thing with the dogs, right? They won't accept any dog
Yeah.
that's not vaccinated. So
That's what I was just about to bring up. There's
Yeah.
quarantine dogs that will be held
Yeah.
also. So.
okay. I mean, to me, it sounds pretty clear from this committee that the direction that we would like to lean in, if the town is able to negotiate a price and purchase canine building, that we pursue that. And it's a well-established facility. It's been there almost 50 years, I think. I could testify because I do own some property that abuts the house. It doesn't abut the actual canine property. But the dogs bark. It's like anything else, though. If you're there for a while, you can tune them out, which is hard to believe. But when you first introduce them, it would drive most people crazy. But there's chickens and roosters on one side, and the other side is I've got the dogs. So it doesn't bother me at all. And no one, again, I don't live there, but we do spend a fair amount of time there. No one complains. I don't hear any complaints about it at all. So I think trying to move it into a new location, plus for what I'm hearing here, we don't really have a new location. The last location we had was at Milk Lane, correct? And that's been down for 10, 15, 20 years.
20.
Something. I know it's
Yeah,
been quite a while.
that building has been repurposed into a training classroom. And even prior to that, it wouldn't have met there would have been the kennels were old and not up to code for the current codes also. But it's
Okay.
currently been completely renovated into a classroom now.
Okay. So any other discussion on this?
No, I was just gonna say, I think the neighbors are aware of this canine where it's located now, which to go to the chair's position is an asset. So that we have to try to deal with unhappy neighbors. And the other issue is that Connecticut canine, just the name is known. There's a certain reputation, I think, that Bob established, Bob Schatz, which weathers and plays well for us if we can take this property, I think. And lastly, a lot of people don't realize we're not doing this just because we have big hearts for animals, although I'm sure most of us do. There's a law, a state law, right, officers, that requires us to do this. So,
Yeah, we're always going to have dogs that we're going to have to house.
Yeah.
So we're going to be either financially obligated to contract that out, which we've already discussed the cost of that, or
Right.
do it ourselves.
that's all I have, Steve.
Okay. And to be honest with you, thinking about this, the usage might be a little bit less than it is right now. So the barking actually could reduce a little bit. So the neighbors might be able to take advantage of that. It might actually be better because what is it? I think your requirement right now is 6 or 8 kennels, right? And even that,
I think 10 kennels would give us even future room for growth as the town's population increases and more housing units come into town. So yes, we would be probably less use than Connecticut Canine sees during its business operation now.
Okay.
I just have one other quick thing, I'm sorry.
Yep. Go ahead.
When the town manager talked about possible storage and others for this facility, do we have, what departments, would this be for the police department to store the things there, Jonathan, or you'd be looking?
Well, I actually am going to turn that over to Joe again, who's kind of more
Okay.
versed on the storage needs of the individual departments. Joe, you want to opine on that?
I mean, as you saw the building, there's a lot of possibilities or opportunities there. To select or say one department is better there than another would be difficult at this point, especially with the main purpose being for a dog pound or dog kennel. Like, you can't run too many operations above it if there's barking dogs or what have you. But there are some options there to satisfy some storage needs, some other departmental needs. There's a private-public partnership opportunity there, in my opinion. I have a lot of experience from another community partnering with private entities and really being successful for the town. So I think you have options, and you're not beholden to one thing specifically at this point.
Okay, and Joe, just a question. Is there a report that we're required to keep on under state law for like Board of Education papers and town records? Is that something that we have to monitor, and then the potential of additional square footage requirement for storage?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Joe.
Well, just maybe I misread it, but I was looking through the Connecticut municipalities on storage issues, and it talks about being in line with the state mandated for records and retentions of municipalities.
So for record retention storage, I think we satisfy that with our town hall record storage currently, and then
The
moving
basement
some.
there.
Yeah, moving some of those to digital files. Some of those laws and rules are changing a little bit. It's a pretty fluid situation. We just talked about it in a department head meeting. But as far as file record retention, I think we're satisfied with that. But again, a lot of moving parts. We may be able to move things to one location, free up more space at another location that better behooves that department or organization. So having that flexibility and those options really puts us at an advantage, quite honestly.
Okay, and then I know you got enough things going on, but do you have any kind of report that this committee can look at it now or in the future and share with the council on existing space needs, whether it's for equipment or whatever? And how we would approach the need? It's a bigger question than just K9, but
Yeah, it is. That is a big question, and more of a master plan that probably would need to be worked on a little bit more in detail with the town manager's office. I have a list, a list and a pretty good idea of most of the department's spatial needs. But again, as the EOC comes on board, what we do with this property, how things are moved around is going to change where more space becomes available. So it's hard to, I don't have a defined like plan and layout, because there'd just be too many moving parts without having all the facts. There's too many couple unknowns that would need to be answered before we can really define a hard plan. If that makes
would you
sense.
see value in such a plan eventually, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in pretty good shape. We know we have some space needs. We know we have some shortfalls in each department. The highway department, the grounds department, facilities department, our public works backbone needs some more support, space specifically. I have some of those things detailed, and I could talk about more at the next portion with Chapman Street if you like, or I can talk to them now. That's up to you guys. Whatever your agenda is, I'm happy to follow.
I just wanted to get a sense of, that, so I thank you.
Yeah, again, I'm prepared to talk more about that today, Joe.
Okay.
You guys tell me when you want me to, and I'm happy to.
Okay. We'll look to the chair, perhaps he has something.
Yeah, I think we'll save it
Sure.
for the, because we're really looking to reutilize the fire department for storage, the old company 3. But Joe, let me ask you this question. I think I know the answer, but I'd like to hear you to confirm what I'm thinking. Is that if the town purchased the building, and I know that it needs some renovations, we would still be able to house the animals in there right away, because it's up to whatever the state standards are, I'm sure, because it is a working kennel, and we could do these renovations as time and money permits, correct? So
Correct.
there's no gap for the police department. They'll have a place, if the purchase goes through, they'll have a place to bring the dogs.
Correct. Yes. I don't know the frequency of the state certification. Lieutenant Malfi can speak to that.
Yep.
But I know it's been inspected and certified, and there's no loss of service. And what we would put together a comprehensive plan to make our renovation throughout the property based on our CIP planning, and tackle those things from the biggest priority to the least.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else have anything else before we move on to company 3?
Do we have to, Steve, do we have to make a recommendation tonight or not for the town council? Is the meeting?
No, I think we need to have a discussion with the town council first, and then I think it'll come out of there.
All right.
Okay.
So I want to know. Thank you.
Okay.
That's the February 10th meeting.
Correct.
February 10th, 6 p.m.
Good, thank you.
All right. Okay. So everybody that's not part of the fire department is welcome to leave, or again, if you want to listen on, God bless you. You're welcome to stay. If not, have a great night. And we're going to move on to the Firehouse Company 3, actually old Firehouse Company 3. I have a question, Lauren or Jonathan. The way we call this to order, I think we're all set, right? We just kind of roll right into it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Okay, so we're going to take up the next item, which again is a new business. It's item 2, and it's the Chapin Street Firehouse. We're going to review the architectural proposals. Do we have that, Jonathan?
Lauren?
So
Yeah.
I was hoping to have them to present to you this evening. Unfortunately, they came in not very apples to apples, so I did have to go back and say to one of our on-call architects, I need you to update and provide cost estimates for other services that they had excluded. So I don't have a revised proposal from that on-call architect. So high level is we are soliciting the 3 proposals from our 3 on-call architecture services, which will allow us to use their services without having to go out to bid or RFP. We received them from Fryer and TLB Architects so far. TLB, of the 2 that have been more comprehensive, is the lower of the 2 bidders and also a little bit more comprehensive in what they have provided. But we are still waiting for JCJ to get back to us with their final proposal. So as soon as I have those, I will email them out to you guys. But I don't think we would need to approve it this evening anyways, because I do think you need to go to the February 10th meeting with the council and have a conversation with them about the future of the project. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have them.
Okay.
I would also add to Lauren's point, it's not just architectural, it's also structural. There's phase 1 environmental.
Yes.
And what else? Is there something else in there too?
Hazardous materials abatement.
Hazardous materials too, yeah. So it's more comprehensive than just a.
There's also MEP evaluations as well.
Okay. All right. So then we'll move on to the second item here, which is Joe, we're going to come right back to you to review town storage needs, I believe. I don't know if Jonathan, you want to kick it off, or we go right to.
I go right to Joe because I
Okay.
think.
All right. Go ahead, Joe. You got the floor.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, at a high level, each department has submitted to me to some degree their space needs. I'm not going to get into detail with some of the smaller departments or business style departments because that can be handled alternatively. But some of the larger departments and some of the needs that Chapman Street would be looked at from the town's side, of the town's point of view. The facilities department has a large need for space. Currently, we utilize 2 unconditioned garage bays within the transportation garage. The three tradesmen that we have on staff work within a 10 by 10 makeshift office where their computers are with electric heat. We don't have, we use the bus garages, facilities, bathroom facilities. This happened quickly, I think, when the project for the new town hall went underway. They needed a new space, and the transportation garage and the Board of Ed was nice enough to let us use those two bays. But we don't really have a conducive workshop. Storage needs for facilities, vehicle parking when it snows. We jam 2 vans in, and then we ask permission to get a third one in one of the bus garages, so our vehicles are outside 95% of the time. So we make do. We do the best we can. We've improvised with mezzanine space and different storage solutions to try to maximize the space for our needs. So that's one of them. That's a big one. The police department has no indoor impound area. What they utilize now, they repurpose a garage at the grounds garage. They remove their mobile command unit that is stationed there currently. And if they need an indoor impound lot, which does happen quite frequently, it's either they remove that vehicle and put it in there, or they have to use the Sally port. Unfortunately, state and investigation purposes, that could be from 1 month to 6 months to a year. You never know what's involved in that type of incident or impound. So that's a big need for the police department. They also own and utilize the MRAP, which is currently stored in the traffic division sign shop garage, which puts a burden on that division as well. And that's also at the grounds garage location. So police department has some indoor storage needs as well. The senior center is another big one. So our senior and disabled center has 4 dial-a-ride vans. They're frontline vans. They are utilized every day of the week, and they stay outside every day of the year. So they're exposed to the weathers and the elements and getting beaten up on. So, an ideal location for those to be stored inside would be ideal for that operation. The fire marshal's offices also has vehicles that we have to keep outside. Their on-call vehicle. For example, this last snowstorm, we called around to every garage we could here that we owned to try to get his on-call vehicle inside, and there was no space. So we parked it under the portico at the senior center to try to keep it protected from the weather. So in the event of an emergency or call out, they weren't spending ample amount of time trying to dig it out from snow. So that's an option or a need for the fire marshal's office. Emergency management, we have a box truck that stays outside and another pickup truck that stays outside. Ideally, ideally vehicles should be inside the best we can to store them and store some of the other needs from the emergency management department. A lot of that will be satisfied with the EOC, more of the response materials, but the vehicles themselves will have to remain outside at this point. The highway department. So there's been a feasibility study done for the highway department as well as the grounds department, identifying major shortfalls in our storage. What happens with that, we're not really sure yet. It's probably going to be on hold, and we're going to have to piecemeal that little by little. But for now, a lot of seasonal equipment for the highway department: leaf machines, jet truck, roller, sweeper, curbing machines, the garbage truck, a triaxle. They're constantly jockeying vehicles in and out to make room, depending on the season. It's cumbersome. It takes a toll on the vehicles, and it's not ideal for that department. They also don't have any indoor sandbag storage. Their cold patch kind of gets dumped in the middle of the garage and moved around from bay to bay any given season, or any given week, I should say. And then the eviction storage compliance aspect that the town has to abide by. We use, I think there's 3 C-cans out there now that they use for the eviction storage. It's another potential need and use that we can use Chapman Street for. And that, I say there's 3 for eviction. I think there's another 3 or 4 or 5 C-cans that they have for other smaller storage needs at the highway garage that are on site. So there's no shortage of indoor storage for them either. Grounds maintenance, seasonal equipment again is an issue for them. Overseeders, snow removal equipment, other attachments and implements for some of the tractors that stay outside. Holiday decor, the park and rec department and the grounds department, obviously you guys know, does a phenomenal job with decorating our town and keeping it festive. All that has to be stored the rest of the year. So it's jammed in 2 sea containers that's on the grounds garage. We try to do the best we can to keep the mice out of it. They're not climate controlled, but we put vents in to try to keep the air balanced so there's no mildew issues. But all that holiday decor is stored in a couple sea cans on that property. All the special event signage is in a sea can at the property. They have 2 or 3, I don't have the number in front of me, another 2 or 3 cans that just have event tents, tables, and chairs. So to get some of this valuable commodities out of shipping containers and in a more permanent place would be good. So there's no shortage of need for the space at Chapman Street. The hard part is going to be deciding what's the biggest need and who's going to utilize it.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't, Joe, the one thing I didn't hear you say is the fire department. We have two pieces there right now that are online emergency response vehicles that respond out of that firehouse. And
So I was asked to talk about the town
Yeah.
side, Chris.
Oh, I'm
just to
sorry.
clarify,
I'm sorry.
I was
Yeah,
asked to talk about
So-
the fire department side.
yeah, that's Chris and, Donald, obviously, your perspective is important, but obviously this is also a town facility and we have to find, ways that we can use it as well. So I think that's part of this challenge for us as a group is to find that happy medium between the needs of the two entities. So thanks, Joe.
I
You're
have a
welcome.
question for Joe.
Go ahead, Stanley.
I listened to what you said, and I don't know if on 84 in East Hartford, they're putting up some Butler buildings. I don't know if you noticed them or not, but what the new ones now are pretty much designed and are pretty cheap to put up, and they're very sturdy. Excuse me, they're very sturdy. And I think maybe we should look at maybe trying to get some funds to try to get and put some Butler buildings near the emergency management. That would give you some storage space for your people, along with supplies that you need, and then move down the line to the next section that needs it. It's only a suggestion, but this way here, and I kind of looked at it, what the DOT was doing there is they have Butler buildings big enough for triaxles, and they're pretty cheap to put up, and they're pretty sturdy. There's also one going up in Farmington off of Route 9. And there's about 4 or 5 other places that are doing this. It might be a cheaper alternative to try to get us some storage space at a good price and in a reasonable area that we on property we already own. That's my only thought.
Yeah, so I just want to maybe help just reframe this. So again, the town over the last 2 budget cycles and potentially going into this cycle has squirreled away money for improvements to the Chapman Street facility, which the town owns. So we're trying to, as a committee, trying to think about how we can use what the best way to use both rebuild, renovate, and then use that facility. So that's the focus. I think, Stanley, you raised good points, but let's focus on Chapman Street specifically.
Right. But I mean, I listened to everything that Joe said with all the needs all over town. And I was just thinking that if we're, I'm from, as you know, I retired from DOT and I spend a lot of time in maintenance, and that's their bread and butter, those trucks for plowing and stuff like that. And the same with the town of Newington. That's what they need to keep the roads open. Fire needs to keep their trucks moving. I'm just trying to find a way, making a suggestion to look into stuff and see if there is any grants out there at some point down the line. That's all I'm looking at. But Joe gave a pretty comprehensive idea of what's needed. We should, I'd like to sit down with him sometime and try to go over what he really needs and see what we can, if there's some grants out there at some point in time. Excuse me. That's all.
All right, thank you, Stanley. That would be good, but again, it would be separate from this committee. We really need to kind of hold it right to the company Firehouse 3. Joe, question before I turn it over to the rest of the committee. What is the existing square footage in that building right now? Do you know? I know it's not a lot. 3,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet?
Chapman Street, you're asking me?
Chapman Street. So the one addition, on the north side and the main architectural old facade for the firehouse.
It's about 2,000 square feet.
Okay. So it's not, I mean, I listened to you obviously for 10 minutes here. We got a garbage can full, right?
Correct. Like I said, the hard part is going to be trying to narrow down whose need is a bigger priority than someone else's. And I'll let obviously that's going to be a bigger decision and one that Jonathan's going to have to make rather than me.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, that's not our decision as a building committee. Our
Understood.
decision as a building committee is to improve the building. When we turn it over to you, the owner, that's you, Jonathan, and your staff to figure out who uses it and who gets what. Obviously, if you want input from us, we'd be more than happy. But that's what we pay you for.
So one of the important elements, and I think it is important for the committee to understand, as we move down and select an architect to go through this feasibility study, to Chris's point, we need to know what vehicles would be stored there. So in case renovations need to be made accordingly, we're accommodating the fire department side, for lack of a better word, for what their use is. And then we're a little bit more vanilla. We can probably, have a little bit more flexibility, because it's more or less just dry storage. But if there's a specific need for us or for the fire department, it should be identified before we get too far down the road, so the architects can take those things into account. If the floor load needs to be increased because of the weight of a vehicle,
I would agree
maybe
100%, Joe, with
we have
you.
to talk
But
about
again,
it.
I think that's something that you and Jonathan need to work out and kind of bring back to us. This is what you believe the needs of the building are going to be in the near future. Okay. And then I'll open up now to the committee. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I'm curious on the Chapman firehouse just for a second. Who owns that? The town or the
The
fire?
town of Newington does, yeah.
I'm sorry.
The town of Newington.
Okay.
There's some debate about that.
There's no debate about that.
Well, there could be some debate on it.
There's no debate about that.
Well,
Forget I asked the question.
Yeah, no, there's no debate. We have an opinion from the town attorney. There's well documented that was when it was decommissioned, it was dedicated to town.
And I understand both your position, Chris, and Donald's, but again, I think maybe what you need to do is talk to the Board of Fire Commissioners, and they need to sit with Jonathan. Well, Jonathan has made it pretty clear to this committee, who we work for Jonathan and the town council.
yeah,
The building belongs to the town of Newington.
So I think we also need to talk about, is there an opportunity for short-term and long-term needs as well, where, maybe for a few years, it might be a need for a fire department, but something else changes down the road and we don't need that space and it becomes a town building.
Well,
I think
I can tell you this, Chris, we right now, our authority is clearly with this building committee for old company 3. There is another fire department building.
No. I'm talking for the old company 3, Steve. Because,
okay.
Yeah, we have needs today.
Yeah.
And I heard Joe, even if that gets renovated, we're going to need to think real fast, because we have peak equipment in there right now that we would have to find storage space for it, because it cannot be stored outside. It's got pumps on it, and it would freeze. So, and if it does get renovated, we're going to lose that space anyways during construction. So there's a lot of things that need to be thought about, where we don't even have room to put some of that equipment.
And again, Chris, I don't want to interrupt you, but I think, again, the building committee that exists for company 4 also is in place for company 3. And I believe there is future plans to add on to that. That's when we would look at your future storage needs, because it looks like you have the room to add on to the building. And I know there's property there that possibly the town could buy. So they might even give you more room. I think that would come under that window. Again, we're not going to get this building much bigger than 2,500 square feet. If we could add 500 square feet, it's not going to fulfill anybody's needs. Let me back up. It might fulfill one department's needs, but it's not going to fill the town's needs. This is a start. And I don't mean to cut you off, but it's so easy to get carried away with this. But I think there is again, the committee is in place. While company 4 is the priority right now of the building committee, once we're done with that, we're moving to company 3. Just hopefully that makes you feel a little better that, it's not being ignored.
Yeah.
If I could just, going back to the needs, and Mr. Salomon discussed the town side. From the fire department side, I'd just like to point out that a new engine is coming online for Station 2 in a matter of days, is what I've been told. and the existing engine 2 will become the spare piece. That will not fit in Station 5 on Maple Hill Avenue. It's going to need to go to Chapman Street, which means vehicles that are already in Chapman Street are going to have to be relocated probably to Station 5. The point is the size of the apparatus is an issue also, which limits where we can put it. So as well as like Captain Ferry said, you know, they all carry water, they've got pumps, they've got to be kept in a temperature controlled environment or else they will not function.
Okay. Obviously, then it's more important then for Mr. Salamone and Jonathan to get together and figure out how we're going to divide this building up. What, if anything, the fire department is going to get, and what is going to be used for other town departments. And until we get that information back from them, we can't really design the building or really make a recommendation. We not trying to put you two guys on the spot, nor do I expect you to answer that question right now. But that's something that, you know, you've got to get back to us and say, yes, the fire department's going to get one bay. It'll be, you know, 20 by 30 or 30 by 40. And the other bay is going to be used by, and again, I'm just making stuff up here. The other bay is going to be used by the senior center. So we obviously need that information as soon as we can get it from you to help us move forward. And again, this could be probably part of the discussion with the town council on February 10th, which I think we'd be able to maybe make some headway there. And with that, again, I'll open it back up to.
Yeah, my only, listen, listening to Joe Salamone and the space needs, sounds like you need a 40 bay new garage, right? And I'm kind of kidding aside, but we're talking about the animal shelter and additional space. Why don't we look at that space for some storage and not give it away and combine it with the canine, and there's a huge space if that building was purchased. So that could be a need too. And I'm not saying the fire department needs all of Company 3, because as it sits right now, it's only 2,000 square feet. There's nothing we're going to do to add that on. But to Don Brown's point, we have nowhere to put equipment that's coming in, and it's a concern. And we need that equipment. So.
Okay.
I just had one comment to make. I
Yes,
know Jonathan and Lauren are working on getting a proposal from the design team. I think it's in our best interest to, kind of confirm what the space is going to be used before we start the design for it. So we design it appropriately. You could use some space for garage or vehicle storage. There is a space behind one of the old building that's kind of like a finished space. So I think we just need to confirm what it's going to be used before we contract with the designer.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead, John.
agree. There's discussion that needs to happen, and some hard decisions, and for sure.
I mean, this is rare where we are right now. Typically, we're renovating a building for a specific purpose because the building is already occupied, right? Has been occupied. Well, this one does have some storage in it, and some of it's the fire department. Obviously, the building is in great disrepair, and we need to define what we're going to do. And I think that's a great idea, Raul. And again, Jonathan and you and the council and Joe Solomon, I'm sure we'll work this out. Anything else?
I just think it's a very difficult and complex situation, because given the ordinance that established the permanent building committee, somebody has to present a need to us. That's already been done. We evaluate the need and then pass our input to the council. Or we think it's such a poor presentation, we either don't support it or hold on to it till we get what we need. But it's really need driven, and that needs assessment under the town manager's office. And I know he knows this because he's doing it already. Has to filter through him and up to us and then we look at that need. And there might be multiple competition amongst like the fire department. Maybe competition is the wrong word, but those who want it more here don't want it there. We don't want to get into that game. And that's not where we want to be. And I'm not suggesting we would, but it would be easy to fall into it. We just evaluate the assessment and pass it on to the council, hopefully.
And I would agree with that, Joe. But I think Jonathan's made it clear from the beginning of the onset of this committee that the town of Newington.
You shut off your light? You can't.
Yeah, I know. I'm in witness protection.
Check your wallet.
Jonathan's made it clear the town of Newington is the requesting agency. So again, you heard him tonight. He's going to get us the information that we need of what they plan to use the building for. Then we can start moving forward. Okay. I think everybody's.
I'll work on that.
That just to butt in, that makes a lot of sense because otherwise you can't design it whether you're going to put for, let's say, like for maintenance or you're going to put in fire. You need to know what's going to go in there before you can design the building. In my opinion. But I would like, on the other hand, I don't know, Jonathan, maybe you could ask Joe to. He ran so fast through the needs. Do you think he could just give a brief synopsis of what he posted, said that what the needs were? I don't want to hold him to anything, but I'd just like to get, I was trying to take notes and I'm not that good anymore.
In the synopsis of it?
Yeah, just like.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe and I can get together and.
Yeah, I mean, I think he said something about the MRAP or something like that. So, I mean, I just like to see what the total is, that's all.
Good.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Okay. I think I'm going to move on, gentlemen. I think we've pretty much discussed this.
It's a challenge for the council for sure. It's got to look at a lot of things that come up to it and then see what's affordable and what's not. And
yeah. Well, that's where the buck always ends up.
tough game for sure.
Any other business pertinent to the committee?
Steve,
Yes.
I have a question for Laura. Did we ever find out the historical status of the structure and whether or not that's going to have an effect on what we can do to the building?
So it is, I was mistaken with what I said at the last meeting. It is not specifically listed in that historic district, but it is a contributing address, which is what the Councilor Plord and Councilor Pedraco had mentioned. There will be some implications from SHPO, and they are working on getting me a synopsis of what exactly they would require with the work done to the outside and inside of the building.
So it sounds like there might be some flexibility. For example, if we wanted to put a pitched roof on the larger bay area, we might be able to do that. It wouldn't be a violation, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah,
I would say there's, sorry.
No, I think anything we did to the addition would be fine. It would, if there was any sort of historical attachment or assignment to the building, it would be for the original building. You know, so I don't see any problem with putting a gable roof on that. If in fact that's how we decide to move forward.
I'll just add that all three architectural firms were made aware of the historical implications of the building, and all of them have included coordination with SHPO. So that would be on their part to coordinate and to be in compliance with all SHPO guidelines for this specific structure.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Any other business pertinent to the committee? Anybody? Public participation? I believe all we have is Matt and Gail.
Gail has raised her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Someone else has raised.
Gail has raised her hand.
Oh, go ahead, Gail. I don't see. Oh, I see it. You know what? Your light is blocking it out for me. I can just barely see it in that upper corner.
Not a problem. I have just two kind of questions. Oh geez. For the canine, I assume depending on what the purchase price is, we would be separating out the renovation from the, because hopefully the purchase price would not go above a referendum amount.
We don't have anything to do with the purchase price, Gail. That's you. So it's you.
But the answer to answer Gail's question is that they're based on the list price and the renovation estimate, we would be well short of that $2.1 or so million threshold for a referendum.
And then secondly, and I know, Matt, will agree with me on this, I assume, just from when you're presenting or I don't even know if it's in the scope of this committee or if it's, Joe and Jonathan, we have three kind of ambiguous buildings now that everybody has identified as could be used for space. We've got the OFI, we've got Connecticut Canine, and now we have Chapman Street. It's going to be difficult, I think, to talk to the public if you don't really have more of a concrete idea of what is going to be in each of these three buildings. If you just kind of throw something out, well, we need it for space needs, and we need it for space needs, we need it for space needs. The public has been asking me, like, what's going to be in OFI, what's going to be in, what's going to be here. And I don't know if it's within the realm of this commission or whatever to kind of give a little bit more of concreteness. And also, though all those three buildings require significant renovations and it's going to be significant dollar amounts, I would assume. So who would be responsible for, I can't see us being able to afford all three at the same time to do all the renovations at the same time. How is that going to be prioritized?
Do you want me to take it, Jonathan, or are you going to take it?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. I'll.
I mean, the simple answer for me, Gail, and it's probably not going to answer your question totally, but right now, we have a budget of approximately $330,000 for Old Company 3. That's the money we have to renovate that. If it exceeds it, we would have to come back to the council and seek more money. If it's less than that, we still need to come back to you and get permission to move forward. But as far as OFI, has nothing to do with this building committee. Until we're charged with that, it won't have anything to do with it. But most of these decisions that you're looking for are going to come out of administration, are going to come out of Jonathan's office and working with Joe Salomon, the facilities director. That's, and then the cost, you control the cost. You guys get to decide how much you want to spend. We can give you an idea of what it will cost once we know the building that we're looking to renovate or remodel and what the use will be or what its intended use will be when we're done. That's easy for us.
Okay. I guess I'm getting, because, it seems like OFI has been on the table for so long that in some sense, in my mind, I think the public's mind maybe it should have been done by now, but it isn't. And I'm having problems listening to the discussions and everybody's needs of, again, I don't think we can attack all three at the same time. Not necessarily just for finances, but from staffing perspective, whatever. I just, and I guess it's just a plea to Joe Salomon and Jonathan. How are we going to set these priorities?
Yeah, we're going to make the recommendation to you, meaning you as a town councilor, you and the rest of the town council make the decision what moves forward. That's all we can do.
I know that, but we need the reasoning behind it. And I guess I'm looking to Jonathan, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and I just to piggyback on what Steve said is neither of these two projects would require us to go out to referendum and therefore issue bonds. So like one of the cost controls for capital projects in general is, what your debt capacity is to stay within your credit rating. So we sort of know what that is based on Janet's analysis. But here we're talking about pay-as-you-go projects. And so Steve's right. At some point, that decision about where is that line between, a mill rate and our interest in reinvesting in ourselves, that's more of a political thing than it is maybe a purely kind of mathematical thing. So that's not great guidance, I don't think, but those are the things that all of us, I think, have to collectively wrap our heads around is how do we responsibly provide services and responsibly reinvest in our community. I don't think there's a one size fits all answer to that.
I just don't know which one is going to be number one, number two, number
Yeah.
three, or maybe they can all be done, maybe they can all be done at once. And again, I know it's outside the purview of, Steve, of this commission, but you got to throw OFI into the mix because in terms of the public and the residents, that's part of this whole overall thing. But thank you for at least considering.
Okay. Yep. Matt, I see your hands up.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I mean, I'll just buttress Gail's point about the storage needs, and I think it is in the purview of this commission, respectfully, to review, and I think we got there by the end of the conversation on Chapman Street, to at least identify what the more specific needs might be, as Joe mentioned, that might affect how this project proceeds. And I think as a council, and I'll speak as a single councilor, but I would expect a recommendation like that to come from the commission, and then for us to be able to consider it, of course, together with staff. So I just want to buttress, that part of Gail's point, and then also with regards to Chapman Street, I know that Jonathan and Joe are going to review those space needs, and I just hope that Don and Chris, because of the representation they bring to this committee, can be an intimate part of that conversation, in reviewing those needs as well, as the statement of need. The charge for this commission was to identify ways to use that building to accommodate both needs. So I'll just mention that as well. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, anybody else? From the
I
public?
would,
Wait a minute, Joe. I'm going. I want to do public comment first. Finish with that. There's nobody online, correct?
No, there's no one online.
Okay. All right. So the next item is comments by members. Joe, you got the floor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I would only be concerned that people would think that, we're pushing an agenda with a push to the council because this is what we think's better than came in the needs assessment, because that's not going to work. If the facilities team thinks that it doesn't work, that it's not operative, if the town manager thinks it, I think that'll just deteriorate what we were created to do. Again, I've never expected, maybe I've read too much into the ordinance. I don't expect to see a needs assessment that first question is, well, what do you guys think? No. Wait, and I'm not saying that would happen. I'm just going through a scenario. This is all just discussion. But so we clearly want to be and I'm not suggesting the fire department anyway has done that, or anybody at this point. What I'm saying is we don't want to get in the position where, we're making a strong recommendation that really could be reversed easily because the firemen say, well, this is useless to us, or facility says you're not paying attention. It's a challenging task, one which I believe the Permanent Building Committee is up to, as long as we keep getting collaborative effort and cooperation from those involved. And I think we should, based on the way it's structured, because there aren't any cheerleaders just doing it because they like to swim. Maybe that's a bad example, but I think you know what I'm saying. We wherever the political fall comes, and that's what our good counselors manage through. But we should be antiseptic in the sense that this is the needs. We've got an appraisal, we have the architect's input, and yeah, it makes sense, or the architect should change this, should modify this, and just be more palatable to do that. But I don't want to tell the fire department which engine to put anywhere. They know best, and I don't want to pretend that I'm going to know what the facilities manager has already looked at maybe 50 times and evaluated with the town manager and the assistant town manager. So I think we play a key role, but certainly those who commit to the need are the ones that have to be satisfied in a reasonable fashion. Otherwise, the thing just collapses. I mean, it'll become another Olson report that'll go on a pile where there's a lot of dust because people can't use it. It's not functional. Just my personal opinion. So it's a moving target, and it's a challenging one, which we're all up to. But I think, again, I would just quickly, and I'll wrap up my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Mhm.
It's a comprehensive analysis on everything that has to be looked at, that the town manager perceives it's going to pop up, or the town council perceives it's going to top up because people feel it's either been neglected too long or the need is so strong right now that if we wait, it'll be worse. But it doesn't mean we can't recommend a time schedule as we phase these in. But so I agree with what the both town councilors have said. I just want to keep an open door and understanding that it's your need assessment. It's not for us to create a modification to your need assessment. It's us to see if the thing makes sense, meets the numbers of the square footage as the chairman has indicated. And then the rest of it is on the council, whether it wants to move it or not, or decides to defer it.
All right, Joe. Thank you.
Thank
Don, I see your hands up.
Yep. Two things. One is a procedural one. I thought at the first meeting we had agreed that we would separate out the dog pound from the Chapman Street project and have separate meetings instead of trying to do both in the same meeting every time.
No, I think go ahead, Lauren.
We did agree to that in the first meeting. However, it was important for both of these projects to meet tonight to prepare for your joint meeting next week of the town council.
Okay, that explains that. Thank you. And the second thing, I'm not going to be able to attend the meeting with the town council on the 10th. I won't be available.
Okay, thank you, Donald. Anybody else? Comments from members?
Yeah, I'll just add to, unfortunately, I am out of state next week, and I indicated to the town manager that I can't attend either, so I apologize.
Okay. All right. Then go ahead, John.
Because both Donald and Chris won't be there, and I would like to, have a meeting, with you guys, Chief Traumer as well, and talk about some of these fire department needs. And I want to make sure that your voice isn't lost, particularly when we're talking to town council. And I just want to get that out there, make sure that was clear.
Thank you.
Okay, and I won't attend in person, but I'll attend via Zoom as I am out of state, but I will be at the Zoom in at the February 10th meeting. And with that, a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Oh, you need a second.
You don't need a second. We don't need a second for adjournment.
All right.
I think I learned a long time ago. All right.
Must be at the wrong
We're all in
meeting again.
favor, correct? Thank you. Enjoy your evening. It was a lively discussion. Joe, thanks. But man, did you open up a can of worms with all your space needs? And I know you did it what you were asked to do, but thank you. You gave us a lot.
Whatever you need.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Just saying.